Nasty. Nasty.
They were called Nasties, and they were nasty.
Some of the things that we've seen are so horrific.
These films not only affect young people, but I believe they affect adults as well.
An extravaganza of gory violence capable of depraving and corrupting those who watched it.
I have never seen a video nasty. I wouldn't. I actually don't need to see what I know is in that film.
Hi everyone and welcome to Doing the Nasty Season 2 Episode 15? Question mark?
Yes. I think. Yes, yeah, this is the March episode, so 15.
Thank you, Mark. Welcome to episode 15 of Season 2 of Doing the Nasty. Episode 15, Jesus Christ. Of course, this show is dedicated to looking at movies that were on the list, the infamous Video Nasties list. However, Season 2 is doing the Tier 3 Nasties, the hodgepodge, fucking blendy, smoothie, horrible cocktail of some really good films and some really shitty films all in together. It's like a really unsatisfying buffet that has like sirloin steak but also has, I don't know, like a quinoa salad. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I'm not eating that. Just give me the steak. I don't know where I'm going with this intro. I'm usually better than this. I'm actually a little bit upset with myself.
Are you hungry? You're talking about steak an awful lot.
I just ate.
Was it a steak? You still got steak on the brain?
I ate like 10 minutes before. As I subliminally wanted steak. Did not have steak. Joining me as always is my co-host for the entire season 2, the phenomenal Mark Ball. How you doing?
I'm doing really good, yeah.
You say hungry.
I'm not hungry. I'm not really. This is breakfast time for me, and I'm not really a breakfast person. My breakfast is some caffeine and a little bit of nicotine, although I don't smoke the cigarettes anymore. And that's about it. But yeah, I'm doing really well. This has been a really eventful fucking month since the last time you and me talked on the show. Like, extremely eventful.
It's always an eventful month. Like,
yep.
It's like everything happens. And like, it's now at the point where, like, as a measuring pole of how fucked up society is or how well we're doing is the month in between recording.
Yep. There's always something, like, I don't know, the last year and couple months or so, it's usually like things out in the world that are happening, like we're tired of living through unprecedented times kind of shit. But yeah, you and me both had some crazy shit personally happen in the last month. I'm sure you've talked about yours on at least one show that you've recorded since then, but you're gonna be a papa again.
I have not actually,
You're not?
Yeah, I haven't mentioned it. No, I've not mentioned it at all on any show at all. I don't know why, to be honest with you. It's just one of those things where most of my shows are me recording myself. So, like, me then kind of quantifying that on a show, you know. I don't know, it's the sort of thing where you're like and subscribe, check out my new podcast. Oh, by the way, going to be a dad again. You know,
yeah, I guess that makes
doesn't
sense.
quite like natural fit in. But yeah, baby number 2 expected in September, and you went away and became an adult.
Yeah, I asked my girlfriend to marry me, and she said yes, which was really, really fucking cool. And yeah, I'm fucking really glad she said yes. We've been dating for 4 years this summer, so I don't know. I had a couple people that were like, finally, it's about goddamn time. And I had a couple people that were like, you're moving real fast. I dated my girlfriend for like 10 years before I fucking married her. So I don't know. I think I'm at a good halfway point as far as that goes. But yeah, we're getting married October of next year because I think a lot of the venues around here for weddings are probably booked for people that canceled or delayed their weddings last year. So I think there was a lot of that going on during COVID. So yeah, ours is going to be October of 2022. So that gives us enough time to... I basically just want it to be a big-ass Halloween party. Like, we'll have the wedding ceremony and whatever, and then the reception is just going to be a big-ass Halloween party because it's the weekend before Halloween, so... That should be pretty
Nice. That's how you do
yeah,
it.
if I'm gonna do a wedding, that's how I want to do it. A big ass Halloween party.
Totally 100% how you do it. So yeah, that's out with Mark getting engaged, and me announcing the oncoming of another mouth to feed in my house. Another grey hair that's about to appear. Out with that, not movie wise, not a lot happening with me. Anything
Not
happening
really.
with you?
I went back and watched all the Conan movies since the last time we talked, which, Barbarian is great, Destroyer is okay, and the 2011 Jason Momoa one, not fucking bad.
I don't know if I know that one.
It came out in 2011. I'm pretty sure it's the same year that Game of Thrones started happening, so people were like, who the fuck is this Jason Momoa guy? This Conan movie? Nope, don't give a shit. But I think people really like Game of Thrones at first, but yeah, for whatever reason, that Conan movie fucking flopped hard, and I went back and watched that one. It's pretty fucking good. It's super violent and full of titties, and exactly what I want out of a Conan movie.
Really all you want. I've got a weird soft spot for Destroyer, and I know it's not a good movie, but I do love Grace Jones in it.
She's
I think
great.
Grace Jones headbutting people with like a steel plate on her head is kind of fucking amazing. It's just, and like the dude that lives in the kind of the castle of mirrors, that's wicked. But just everything else is just it's a bit too goofy, if you know what I mean. It's like the tonal shift from 1 to 2 is just too goofy. Like Arnie getting like blackout drunk and punching a camel is. You know what I mean?
It made me laugh, but at the same time I was like, oh, that poor camel. I hope it was a trained camel. Like I know you can train horses just like flop over like that basically, so I assume you can with a camel too. But yeah, that movie's fucking goofy as hell. There's lots of like Star Trek quality makeup effects and like sets and stuff like clearly built out of styrofoam where it's like it does feel a little cheap, but other than that, I finally got around to fucking ordering the actual Video Nasty documentaries that kind of, I think, sparked this whole thing. I've never actually seen.
Oh, dude, they are so good. Like you will sit. You be prepared to start throwing things at your screen when you hear absolute knob jockeys talk about nothing that they could possibly. Like the famous one is, and we use it in the intro music, is Mary Whitehouse, who was the spearhead mouthpiece for a lot of the outrage. This fucking small old white-haired woman, and that infamous quote of her, basically when she's confronted with it, saying, I've never seen a nasty, I've never seen a video nasty, and the guy's like, well, how can you say that people? And she's like, I don't need to see a movie to know that it is bad. I don't need to see it to know it's a danger to the community and all the rest. Just like a puritanical fuckwit, you know what I mean?
That says it all right there. They don't even fucking watch
it. Just really annoys me. But then there's so many. Like me and Andy used to have a great laugh of the MP guy who also, you hear him in the clip at the beginning like that. I believe it affects small children and dogs, as if dogs saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and then started wearing their owners' faces. It's just fucking stupid. It's so.
This movie turned my dog into Ed Gein.
It's just so ridiculous. But the documentaries themselves are a laundry list of who's in the film community, even down to, because they were, you're talking 2009, 2010, I think is when they were done. So you've got people like Neil Marshall and stuff like that before he went on to, he was already making movies at that point, but before he went all Hollywood. And just like a great list of people: Stephen Thrower, Alan Jones, Kim Newman, all these people talking about the various different impacts. But the beauty of the documentary is the discs that come with it, where you get all the trailers plus an introduction, which is what I use as my audio clips on here. So you basically get a film historian or critic giving you the introduction before you get the trailer for all the movies. So it's kind of amazing. You're going to love them. You're going to absolutely love them. Very, very difficult to get now, so I'm glad that you managed to get your hand on one of them, because over here you can pay silly money to get them. I just don't understand, because they originally released them as kind of limited runs, and I don't know if they've ever went back through and just released them as standard ones now. So
I don't think they have. I looked on Amazon first, and they were all just basically unavailable. Like, there wasn't even secondary sellers selling them. And I went to eBay, and I found both of them for around $30 a piece.
Dude, that's not bad. They go for a lot more over here, so...
yeah, there was others that were listed, like, super high, and yeah, those were the two cheapest. I started with the second one just because it's the show that we're working on right now. And I don't know if we'd ever mentioned that on the show, but the intros that you play, like, on the final version of this show, I've never heard any of those before the show comes out, so
yeah, I deliberately don't watch them either, and the reason I don't watch them is I don't want to repeat what a critic is saying on here, because it can sometimes colour your opinion. Like, I love Alan Jones. I think Alan Jones, mostly because he's a complete jallowhead, and he's wrote books about. He was Argento's biographer and all the rest. So if Alan Jones tells me that I am going to like a movie, like, I will overlook things that are bad in a movie because Alan Jones told me I was going to like this movie. So I try and avoid watching them. But what I find really amusing is how many times when I go to put those audio clips in, I'm like, we are right on the money with what this critic's saying, and then other times where I'm like that, we are so far off the mark. Not even close. It's like we're off in the weeds. Once you get a hold of it, I'd be interested. Like, the actual documentary itself is kind of amazing. So maybe even we could segue a little review of the documentary itself into like a bonus episode or something, which would be fun.
I'd be down
for sure. We have two movies this month, though, that couldn't be any more different if they fucking tried. One forced me to look at a fucking Christmas movie in March.
And did it twice in the same month on two different shows.
Yeah, like literally this weekend, the day I'm recording this, I've already recorded this review of this movie for podcast Under the Stairs. But we're also doing The Astrologer, aka Suicide Club, which is the name... Suicide Club? Suicide Cult?
Suicide Cult, yeah.
Suicide Cult. Yeah, Suicide Club is a completely different movie, which you should totally check out by Sion Sono. But yeah, this is it was called The Astrologer, but they had to change its name because there's another movie from 1975 also called The Astrologer.
Which, by the way, the other one popped up on fucking YouTube over the weekend, and I saw somebody posting, but it might have been Doug Tilley, I think, maybe talking about it on Twitter. I really want to see the other one now, because it's also...
Have you never seen the other one? The other one is fucking incredible. So, yeah, if you've not seen it...
Just judging by the trailer, that looked a lot more along the lines of like what we were talking about last month, or last recording of what the fuck is it called? Massacre Mafia style?
Yeah.
That's when I saw the trailer for that one, I was like, oh god damn it, why couldn't we be watching that one? Why couldn't that one be on the fucking banned list instead of the one we did end up watching? But we'll get to that.
We're gonna get to it. The other one is truly incredible. So it's just a weird bit of how did this movie get made cult cinema. Is that what I wonder if that's why people are talking about it, because it's appeared on YouTube, because I saw Lee Russell also mentioned it in the last couple of weeks, because I was like, oh, he's going to be watching that nasty. I was like, no, it's the other one. So I've got that and Christmas Evil to review on this one, and we might as well just get into it. I have no preference on the order this week, so I will leave it to you, Mark. What do you fancy talking about first?
Oh shit. Oh god damn.
Go with your gut.
Let's do The Astrologer first, because I feel like I got way less to say about that one.
Nice. Right, so we're going to take a very short break. You're going to hear learned, educated film critics talk about the reasons why. I get a feeling this might be like a Stephen Thrower, or because he likes weird obscure shit, or maybe a Kim Newman. So one of the two of them is going to introduce this movie through different talking points. You're then going to hear the trailer. When we return, myself and Mark are discussing The Astrologer, aka the Suicide Cult, right after this.
Okay, so we have Suicide Cult here by James Glickenhaus. And what the hell is going on in this one? Very, very confusing film. Very ambitious film. Feels like a big budget movie that's been squashed into a low budget in some way. or a low-budget movie that couldn't quite sustain itself. Very, very ambitious subject matter. The narrative is spread over several different continents. There's action going on in Europe, in India, and in the USA. It has the hallmarks of a film that ran into production difficulties. It's only 72 minutes long, and yet it still feels like it hasn't quite managed to tell its story. The first credit that you get at the end is the editor, which is kind of a shorthand for this was hard to cut together. So I've been intrigued to know the full story of this film, and we don't know it. Jim Glickenhaus, who went on to make The Exterminator, a very, very successful vigilante movie, has never really discussed this film, and apparently doesn't really like to discuss his films full stop. It's a shame, because Suicide Cult is a very, very strange film. It's almost a sort of a 40 times sort of area of interest that we're dealing with here. It's essentially kind of mystics in the CIA is the kind of vibe. There's a branch of the American government who are exploring the use of astrology to predict people of great potential for good or great potential for evil. The film is about attempts to establish the astrological birth record of the Virgin Mary so as to predict the next birth of Christ or the second coming. So many interesting and unusual ideas that it juggles with but can't quite bring together into a coherent whole. It feels as if the same director would have made a better film of it maybe 5-6 years later, with a bit more experience down the line. I'm not a devotee of astrology by a long shot, and yet I enjoy seeing a film that takes such a what is essentially, to my mind, a crackpot premise, and then pursues it relentlessly. I can't think of any other films that have got that plot. So it really is kind of going out on its own. So it deserves full marks for originality, even if the project seems to have escaped and run out of control. The producer is a guy called Mark Buntsman. He's also playing the lead villain of the film, a mystic called Kajurst, who is living in India as a kind of almost like a kind of Manson-esque kind of cult leader. And he's quite frightening, actually. It's a really solid performance. There's a scene in the film where a CIA operative or an American government operative whose job it is to try and enter the villain's dreams, and she goes to India and he wills her to death once he works out that that's what she's trying to do. So it's like a battle of wills between different mystical forces. I'm not really sure if it's going to win very many converts. One day, if it ever turned up on DVD and a decent transfer, I think people might look again. But it certainly deserves points for going off the map. I haven't the faintest idea why it's called Suicide Cult. It doesn't really have anything much to do with the film. It suggests a kind of a Jim Jones setup, and the Kajurst character does have elements of Jim Jones and Manson. It was based on a sort of a potboiler paperback called The Astrologer, which came out in the early 70s, and the original title for the film was The Astrologer. This film, as I say, shows all the signs of having been cut together in a bit of a panic. Transitions between scenes look a little nervy and unfocused because it keeps jumping from setup to setup using solarization to affect the image in a way that makes you think, there's no need for this. It's like a stylistic device that's been added by the editor and the people in the post-production saying, we've got to find some way of making this cohere. They haven't entirely succeeded, but still, it's an interesting movie and a curious, almost kind of Oliver Stone gets mystical sort of plot, which deserves a bit of attention. I think the reason why it's attracted some negative attention from people wishing to censor these kinds of movies may be just that the title rang alarm bells because of the idea of there being echoes of the then quite recent Jim Jones case. And also, there are times in the film where you see what I think are special effects recreations of dead bodies, which in the film are presented as real, like Mondo footage. Yeah? But maybe that's the other reason as well. Maybe whoever watched it thought that they were looking at real kind of Mondo-style footage of corpses, and that might have added to the problem.
And welcome back. So you've just heard the trailer for Suicide Cult, aka The Astrologer. Let's put it the other way around just so we can keep ourselves on the straight and narrow. This is directed by James Glickenhaus. Glickenhaus, who went on to do The Exterminator. which is a fucking great movie. If you've never, it's a total exploitation movie. Kind of fucking awesome. So if you get your hands on that, get your hands on that. Writers are John Cameron, who I believe wrote the book that this is based on, with the kind of screenplay adaptation by James Glickenhaus. The movie stars a plethora of people. I don't know.
A pack of nobodies.
A pack of nobodies, including Bob Bird, Mark Buntsman, James Glickenhaus, who plays a spy, Alison McCarthy. Oh, Mark Buntsman's the producer of the movie as well, which I think is kind of it. He plays the cult leader. It's like, I am producer and cult leader in this movie. I will have you know. So I'm just checking IMDb. The Exterminator came out in 1980. So if you've never seen it before, trust me, that is a bit of exploitation cinema you need in your life, Mark.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one. I remember the box, I'm pretty sure, but.
Oh yeah, you would dig it quite a bit. The synopsis for this one is listed on IMDb. I do love the synopsis here. It's a scientist who works for a secret government agency that studies zodiac signs finds himself against a dangerous Indian cult led by a powerful, enigmatic man, which is exactly what happens in this movie. What they neglected to mark in there is that the secret government agency are actually trying to find out when Jesus' mother, the Virgin Mary's birthday is, so they can use astrological charts to work out when the next Messiah will appear on Earth. So, I mean, why not? That's the thing.
That's pretty much it. That takes 75 minutes of fucking dialogue to get us to that point.
Well, I get a feeling we are going to be at slightly different. I'm just going to stress, I don't think this is a good movie, but I will say I was entertained from start to finish on this one. I think this is a big, huge bag of potential, completely wasted, but absolutely guff nonsense that made me just go, what are we, like with a smile on my face, what are we doing here? Like, genuinely was just like, from the moment they were like, yes, we are a secret government organisation who studies astrology and the zodiac signs to it. It was like, it's so far ahead of its time as well. Not astrology, that's backwards and, you know, nonsense. But, like, so far ahead of its time in terms of the concepts it's putting forward from a sci-fi point of view. Because this is like Minority Report to an extent, because what they're basically saying is, by checking someone's charts, so to speak, you can anticipate what sort of life they'll lead, which I found like surprisingly, you know, ahead of its time conceptually. And then the second thing is, it's basically Inception. There's a scene where an agent goes into someone else, well, goes into the cult leader's dreams, which does not fare out well for her, but she goes into the cult leader's dreams to manipulate his reality to make him essentially change the direction he's going. And I was like, this is like 75. Like, right, I understand Minority Report, I think that's based on a Philip K. Dick, so it probably was out by then, but the fact that they've brought that in here as a concept, plus the idea of, you know, manipulation through your subconscious, are all really lofty kind of ideas, conceptually speaking, to bring into a movie. The idea of us like a secret government organisation who are trying to essentially control the world through this formula. Once again, really highbrow concept, and all that stuff I thought was kind of amazing if they just paid it off. And I think that's where the movie is not long. And this is like the first movie in a while I'm like that. Just tag 15 minutes on and explain some more shit, please. Or at least tie it up. Because it sets out all these ideas and all these kind of stalls, so to speak, for the narrative. And it doesn't really tie it up. In fact, it ends surprisingly abrupt. In a way which was just like, huh? In the post-credit? No, fuck me. Okay then. You know, there was a lot of that going around. I found it weirdly, there's a kind of TV movie quality about the cinematography. Yeah. Kind of like something you would have seen like on the $6 Million Man, especially with those, the kind of transition screens with the, you know, the date being kind of tight. There's something, you know what I mean? which is clearly put in there because this movie feels so disjointed. They're clearly there to as a way to make the movie fit. You know, like it's like there's like 100 different scenes here and no way to actually narratively make them fit in post. So they're just like that. Let's just use title cards with the date. Yep, that'll work. So none of the scenes really tie into themselves. In fact, if anything, I think if you removed those title scenes in between, it would be incredibly disjointed to know exactly what's happening and when it's happening and where it's happening, because we are all over the globe. We're in India, obviously. We are in America, obviously, but there's scenes shot in Europe as well. There's also this weird kind of, I mean, my guess to the reason it's on the nasty list, if I was to take a punt at it, is because it feels like there's some kind of Faces of Death sort of Mondo footage in the middle with those kind of bloated bodies in the river.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if that's, part of me wants to think that that's, someone has shot dummies in a river, but then knowing
I kind of don't think so.
the kind of bloat on them, the way that they're bloated out kind of looks like dead bodies in a river, which would make sense. I mean, that's essentially why a ton of movies were banned in the UK, and it's only a small section in here that, it's probably not pernicious enough to merit a tier 1 or tier 2. It's probably landed on tier 3 because you have to slog through quite a bit of this movie before that appears. But yeah, I mean, conceptually speaking and story-wise, I hate to say it, I had a ball with this movie. I just thought it was so fucking nutty and so bonkers and so out there and so just really swinging for the fences with everything it did, and it just clearly doesn't have the budget, clearly doesn't have the expertise, and doesn't have the script to necessarily pull it all together. But by God, it's Glickenhaus, Glickenhaus is out there trying his hardest to do something completely different. I can't think of any movie I've ever seen that does what this movie does. Like, the only thing I thought that kind of came close to expect was something like Scanners that we talked about recently, with that idea of like a government organisation using psychic abilities in a way to affect the world. There was kind of that sort of element in here, but just like on a more kind of like a TV movie. Well, this feels like it could have been like a mini-series like V or something. Like there's that much scope to it. They just don't have a way of bringing it all back in together. And I will tell you this, there was a couple of performances I quite enjoyed here. I enjoyed Bob Bird in this one, who plays Alexei, which is what his wife said. She can't just say his name every time. Alexei. Literally, like, it's the first time she's learned to say it phonetically. I thought he was good. I thought Buntsman as the cult leader, he's fucking brilliant. Like, he is totally 100% Jim Jones in it, which is weird because Jonestown hadn't happened at this point. So, you know what I mean? Like, 75, I think they were maybe in Guyana, but like they hadn't killed themselves yet. So yeah, like I liked his performance, and it's trippy and it's weird, and some of it works really well, and some of it doesn't work at all. But by God, was I entertained! Like I could not take my eyes off the screen while watching this. Partially through complete confusion. I'll put my cards down. I was a bit confused for quite a bit of this movie, and also kind of because I was like, there's so many elements in here that are just so ahead of its time. Like for 75, they're doing things that like only science fiction movies are now kind of tackling in movies, and they were attempting it back now. So I mean, yeah, it is not a good movie. It is trash. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I was completely in till it finished. And I was like, is that how you're going to end it? Glickenhaus, I'm looking at you. Is that how we're ending this movie? Couldn't just do something a bit more? No, I was just finishing it there. Right, cool, awesome. And then they fuck. Credits. So that was my take on it. I have a sneaky suspicion, and this is why I said on the podcast Under the Stairs show this week, I had a sneaky suspicion that maybe you wouldn't like this movie. So with that in mind, the floor is yours. What did you make of Suicide Cult?
So, Suicide Cult, which is a stupid fucking title because there's barely a fucking suicide cult in this movie. I think that's pretty much the extent of it, is like the fucking gross fucking Mondo footage that pops up in this thing twice. Because they bought it from some fucking weirdo in some fucking country, and yeah, I get the real strong impression that those are real dead bodies, and
look on them look like
they're
someone would have to
stiff and
spend a
they're
bit of time
burnt, and that dude's like missing his fucking face, and like one of them's like a kid, and it's just, man, that fucking
like there's a
bummed me
woman's
out.
titties which are all like buoyant, not in a way that feels natural, as in a way which feels like they've been in there for a while.
Yeah, that was fucking gross, and yeah, it's almost definitely why there's like a stabbing in the middle of this, which is I think kind of a fake out, but is also like fair. I don't know, it's the chick that stabs herself kind of deal.
Yeah, but that's in the psychic vision as well. Which when I was watching it, I was like, "What are we doing here? This is amazing."
Yeah, that like,
you cannot control me. I shall control you.
It definitely has a
controller.
couple video nasty kind of moments, and yeah, I'm sure that's why it was banned. And it also kind of looks like they're fucking on the album or the cover art for this too. So that might have had something, and just the name, the Astrologer. I mean, it's got like a cult kind of implications, I think. So I mean, any stuff like that, I'm sure the censors look down on. But yeah, as far as this movie goes, I agree with a lot of what you said. This is I would call this movie dense. This actually took me 1.5 times to get through this movie because I got like 25-30 minutes into it the first time, and I was just like, I don't have a fucking clue what is going on in this goddamn movie. So I just turned it off and came back to it yesterday and watched it the whole way through, and I was like, there is so much fucking dialogue in this movie. I think they took like probably a fucking really thick novel and condensed it down into an 80-minute movie, and yeah, the ending is extremely abrupt and doesn't really fucking resolve anything. Like, yeah, this is a rare time where I was like, you guys could have fucking huddled up in the middle and like given us another 5 minutes at the end of this fucking thing to like kind of have some
post-credit text or something might work.
They don't do that. Something. I thought the transitions were super fucking goofy, and they gave me the impression they're like, well, they knew how to work one button on the fucking switchboard at the local access TV station where they edited this goofy fucking movie, so they're gonna use it kind of deal. Yeah, a lot of the cinematography and stuff, like, man, you can really tell they had no fucking clue what they were doing when they shot this thing. Like, there's just like zero consistency. I don't know, like it's really more in the film stock and the lenses that they use that make it look like a TV movie. Like, it reminded me of Mansion of the Doomed from last year. It's just got that like soft kind of look to it. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but like the actual like cinematography and editing in this thing is like about as fucking amateurish as they come. Like, there's like off-center shots, like no coverage, like the camera just doesn't move through a lot of it. It's just like sitting there on a fucking tripod, which George Romero can get away with, but these dipshits that didn't know what they were doing can't. And yeah, I was just bored fucking shitless through a lot of this, just bored to goddamn tears with a lot of this. And the cast, I think, has a lot to do with that. I find all of these people boring and unappealing. Bob Bird feels like they just knew some dude's dad and stuck him in the fucking movie, because he's just like wooden as hell, and the dialogue doesn't help because so much of it is just this big lofty scientific and philosophical shit that like I really wish I had subtitles for, but I watched this on YouTube, so I got the auto-generated subtitles, which, oh boy, that computer had no fucking clue what these people are talking about in this movie, so, yeah, I don't know, man, I would never watch this movie again, for sure. It was not good. It reminded me, since I haven't brought Mystery Science Theater up in a while, there's an episode of that reminded me a lot of this called Parts, the Clonus Horror, which is about like a clone farm, basically. It was really similar. It has big, lofty sci-fi, like philosophical ideas done on a $10 budget, and it's just not satisfying at all.
Yikes.
I think that's about all I got to say. You can, in my opinion, y'all can skip this fucking one. It's not very good.
So what you're telling me here, Mark, is that Severin have just put out, I think they actually put out last year or the year before, you are not buying this.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. Run far away. I mean, this isn't the worst thing.
Man.
This is far from the worst thing we've watched on this show.
Oh, God,
this
yeah.
was, like you said, this is not a good movie.
It's not. No. Like, and don't take my, like, listeners out there, don't take my general buzz of excitement about how much is going on in this movie as a reason to go out and buy it. I think you should, I think you should see it. I'm glad I saw it. I would watch this again, but there's a sadist part of me that, like there was a couple of elements in here that I like. If I was doing like a month on cults or cult leaders in horror cinema, I would include this one because I think as a cult leader in a horror movie, he is surprisingly good in the part. It's just the surrounding movie is like, the thing is, you know what you're getting into in the first 5 minutes of this movie when it is all dialogue and they're talking about star signs. And you're like, oh, yes, our secret government organisation studies star signs and the zodiac. And you're like, really? Fucking really? Okay. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not. I couldn't in any good conscience say it's a recommend. I was thoroughly entertained though. I know exactly where you're coming from, and I would never try and dissuade you otherwise. But when it finished for me, I was like, that was kind of rad. I hate myself for it. I fucking hate myself for it. And it was refreshing to watch a movie that didn't have a band playing an entire song in the middle. So I will give it props for that.
That's true. It didn't have that. We finally broke that spell.
Right, let's bring it in then. You know what we do here, Mark. The listeners may have forgotten though. We do a particular weird sort of grading over here, which doesn't actually assign a value to the movie out with whether or not we think it is meritable for censor at the time. So we kind of try and use like our 80s eyes and try and put ourselves in the position. The ratings are, if we think it is truly horrendous, and I mean horrendous as in full of content which will scar the audience, then we would say that it gets some hard time. If we think that, it's above the average amount of transcendental violence that we would expect in a movie, then we're going to give it, a little bit of that community service. If we think that the movie really has like one thing in it that's maybe a little bit kind of risque, it's a slap on the wrist. And if the movie is just fluff with no substance, then it's a case dismissed. To me, I'm going to be honest, even with those bodies, which I mean, we are both speculating those are real bodies. If they were real bodies, then with that Mondo footage, it's maybe a slap on the wrists because it's not hugely long. I'm kind of erring towards case dismissed, if I'm honest. I think those two scenes are spaced relatively far into the movie, and even then they had me wondering if it was or wasn't real footage, not to the point where I was like, I'm 100% sure it is or it isn't. In the same way that Cannibal Holocaust does the same thing when it comes to the actual tribal violence, where you're like, that, did I just see someone die? No, you did not see someone die. You saw animals die, but you didn't see people die. So I'm kind of on that boat, and with that, I'm kind of coming in with a case dismissed. What about yourself? Are you thinking something higher, something stronger, or are you doubling down with me?
I think this is a slap on the wrist for me, because like you said, it's 90% of this is tame as hell and could easily pass for a TV movie kind of thing. But the footage of the fucking, what I'm leaning more towards, I think these are probably this is stock footage that they bought from some fucking weirdo, and it pops up in the first, like at about the 5-minute mark at the beginning. We get a little bit of it, and it's like, oh, that's pretty gnarly. And I'm like, it goes back to the thing. I'm like, they watched the first 5 minutes and saw that shit, and we're like, nope, banned. But then they do it again, like, and it really, like, they bring the movie to a grinding halt in the fucking middle of it to show every second of this footage that they got. And it's like, it angers me a little bit more just because, like, they had to do it a second time. And, like, this bad, boring, crappy movie made me look at fucking footage of what I'm pretty sure dead people, which usually, like, you gotta earn that shit, you know? Like, it's...
Yeah. No, you're right.
I don't flip out about stuff like this very often if it fucking earns it, but this movie did not fucking earn it. Like I said, that's, like, really almost the only mention of any kind of suicide cult or, like, any kind of... Like, the cult is barely in it. Most of this is, like, people talking in fucking science lab type of shit. And, so, yeah, the fact that this movie made me look at dead bodies and the rest of it's boring as hell is, like, you're getting at least a pretty firm slap on the wrist, and then I'm going to send you on your way.
Very nice, very nice. Well, that was Suicide Cult, aka The Astrologer. We have another movie to discuss. This one, fairly well beloved, and I was convinced I'd seen it before. And if anyone has listened to the podcast Under the Stairs episode, you will know that I was quickly mistaken. Because when I sat down to watch this, I was like, no, I've never seen this movie. We're going to be doing Christmas Evil. But before we get to that, you're going to hear learned people speak about Christmas Evil, telling you maybe why it appeared on that nasty list. You're then going to hear the trailer. When we return, myself and Mark are going to be discussing that movie right after.
Evil, film made in 1980 by Lewis Jackson, who would rather you called it You Better Watch Out. I actually think that's a much better title too. Partly because Christmas Evil it got it lumped in. I mean, there's a film called New Year's Evil, which is the same joke. But there were a whole bunch of other films. Everybody knows the Silent Night, Deadly Night films, the Psycho Santa slasher pictures. Christmas Evil is just a lot better than those films, but it's also a lot more ambitious. It's not just the simple guy in a Santa suit, impales people on reindeer antlers type movies, much as we love those kind of pictures. It's a much more intriguing and complicated film about the meaning of Christmas and that whole thing about, naughty or nice. And it's about a guy who believes in Christmas so much that he eventually goes crazy and starts punishing people who defile the spirit of Christmas in a sort of vigilante Travis Bickle kind of way. But also, and this is a massive spoiler, at the end it seems that he really is Santa Claus. His van crashes into the river but flies off like the sleigh to prove that he's believed in Christmas so much he's actually become Santa. And it's a very witty film for a low-budget, grungy New York independent picture. It was produced by Ed Pressman, who has a really interesting track record. He backed Sisters and Conan the Barbarian because he had the rights to that for years and years. But his fortune came from the Pressman Toy Company, so they were able to use his toy factory and his products to bulk out the Christmassiness of it. It has a remarkable central performance from Brendan Maggott, who isn't quite fat enough to play Santa. The original casting was George Zunza, who later became a familiar character actor. He's the big, fat, sweaty guy in lots and lots of films. He's in Basic Instinct, for instance. But he fell out with the director during pre-production, so he got bumped, and Brandon Maggott stepped in to get, I think, the role of a lifetime. He's also somebody who's very familiar. He turns up in lots of little parts in bigger pictures, but he really grabs this one. His brother is played by Jeffrey DeMunn, who's another now very familiar character actor. He's a favourite of the director Frank Darabont, who puts him in everything he makes. But you see, he was once young, which is something you get with character actors occasionally when you see the film they shockingly made before they became the grizzled grey old guy that they're now known for playing. It's a film that's had an on-off reputation. It got hauled in a bit with the crackdown on tasteless Santa slashers. And then people looked at it and said, actually, I'm not even sure if this is the right genre pigeonhole we've got it in. There ought to be somewhere else for kind of truly demented spirit of Christmas film. John Waters is a great admirer of it, and so am I. I've always said that it's one of the best of the Christmas horror films. I put it in its box probably with Gremlins or A Christmas Story or Black Christmas. It's had a certain revival of late. It's a film that's now available in a much nicer DVD edition than the rather grimy video release that we're celebrating here. This was an Ivor Film Services release. They billed themselves as from Pinewood, which is the heart of British film industry. I'm sure they had a prefab unit somewhere near Pinewood. I have a funny feeling this was one of those videos that just got hauled in because of the company's other product. They had Night the Bloody Apes and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and some much gorier pictures. It may well have ticked off the hot button of it being about Christmas. And in America, there was this weird scandal about the horror of making a horror film about Christmas, as if it had never been done before. In fact, those of us who grew up with Joan Collins being strangled in Tales from the Crypt and all that kind of stuff thought, this is just an old idea, why are you upset now? But they were over Silent Night, Deadly Night, and I think Christmas Evil kind of got scooped in with that. Though, as with a lot of the films we're talking about here, in the long term, being tarred with this brush was not a bad thing, because it made the movies more collectible. It made people seek them out. And those on the list that had certain qualities, that meant that at least people saw it. It wasn't the thing you get when you track down Final Exam and you think, huh? This upset somebody, and then you forget it completely. It was, this upset someone, and you know what? It's actually quite a good film.
I told you he'd be happy that we remembered him.
This Christmas, Santa's going to make everyone happy. The grown-ups and the kids. Christmas Evil, the non-believers
Watch out!
and the screamers. And this Christmas, you better believe in Santa, or he'll slay you.
Merry Christmas, Frank.
Christmas Evil, the night he dropped in.
And welcome back. So you just heard the trailer for Christmas Evil, aka You Better Watch Out, which apparently from what I've read online is the preferred title. I think that's what John Waters refers to it as well, and we're going to get to John Waters in a second. This is written and directed by Lewis Jackson. The Blu-ray that I've got of this, that 88 Films put out, has a commentary with the director and John Waters, which just blows my mind that John Waters is like, yeah, I'll do a commentary for this movie I had nothing to do with. just sit me down, I'll speak to the director. Anyway, that's an aside. This movie stars, written, directed by Lewis Jackson, stars Brandon Maggart, Jeffrey Dunham, who's very young in this, Diane Hull, Andy Fenwick. I'm saying very young, he's still balding in it, which I just want to quantify that. Diane Hull, Andy Fenwick, Brian Neville, Joe Jamrog, which that sounds like a bad cocktail. I'll have a Jamrog, please.
It's when you're out of letters in Scrabble. Yeah, it's a Jamrog.
Jamrog. Yes, it is a ancient Viking horn. There you go. Wally Morin, Gus Sald, and some other folks in here. Let's not spend too much time on this. Synopsis for this one is a toy factory worker mentally scarred as a child upon learning Santa Claus is not real, suffers a nervous breakdown after being belittled at work and embarks on a Yuletide killing spree. That is your synopsis. I feel like I've already spoken about this already today, so I just want to get my thoughts out again. This came out the same year as Maniac, which surprises me because in watching this I got heavy Maniac vibes.
It is similar.
But Maniac is infinitely better. And I'll tell you why. I've already upset people on the other show. Let me upset people on this show as well. I thought Christmas Evil was okay. I thought it had some interesting sorts of ideas, like the idea of like someone being so impassioned by like the season of Christmas, and you know, retaining a bit of trauma in the background from when he basically thought he saw Santa diddling his mum. Which, I mean, it was his dad, but he thought it was Santa. Which, you know, that mentally scarred him, that stuck with him. The idea of anyone kind of besmirching the ideas and ideals of the Christmas season itself would prompt him to go postal, I think is what they call it in the States. I mean, on paper, I kind of like that as an idea. The problem with Christmas Evil is I think it struggles with what it actually wants to be. I mean, it's in that slasher collection. I don't think it's a slasher movie. Mostly because we're spending the majority of the time with the killer, which I always think that takes out of the slasher realm. Like, I wouldn't say Maniac is a slasher movie either, because you spend the majority of time with the killer. I think part and parcel of a slasher movie is the not knowing who the killer is aspect. But that's just my personal thoughts. I like the cinematography. I think it has that really traditional, soft, kind of Christmassy feel about it. But by God, are we not like 40 minutes into this movie before someone fucking dies? And that is criminal. And then once he kills someone at the 40-minute mark in public, you know, just like fucking stabs a guy in the eye and hits him in the head with an axe, you then have to wait like about another 25 to 30 minutes before there's more death in this movie. And that to me is kind of fucking criminal. Like, once the death has happened, he's clearly off his rocker at that point. We should not then be like, oh well, now he's having a moral quandary about whether or not he should be a killer. Like, you've killed in front of people, you're a killer now. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, and the toy around with that. I think the central performance by Brandon Maggart is actually really good. I think he's very much like Joe Spinell. I think he's a sort of character where I feel like he is going through the turmoil that he's going through. But once again, am I supposed to feel sorry for this guy, or am I supposed to condemn this guy? The movie kind of doesn't really take a stance on it, and I have a problem with that. Like, he's bullied, so I instantly have like sympathy for him. But then he goes around murdering people, so I instantly don't have sympathy for him. So I kind of feel there's a bit of a disconnect there. I think the dialogue in this movie is pretty bad. Like, if I'm being honest, he's a good actor, but the dialogue is a bit chunky, and a bit like, you know, like you could parse it out and make it feel a bit more human. I don't think anyone out with Maggart himself feels like a real character. Jeffrey Dunham, who, like I say, is great in The Walking Dead and God knows what else he's been. Is it The Walking Dead he's in? He's in Walking Dead, isn't he?
I think, yeah, like the first season.
Yeah, and he's in what do you call it? He's in like The Mist and stuff.
Yeah, he's a bunch of Darabont stuff.
Yeah, so he's really good as the pained brother who just wants a brother who's not a fucking lunatic whose house is dressed up in Christmas attire 24/7, 365, if you know what I mean. I thought he was pretty good, but then there's whole scenes here which make like little to no sense at all, contextualising it in the real world, like the dad who just happens to have a flick blade in his pocket for when he's out walking with his friends with their kids, or like the scene where you have a lot of townsfolk recreating Frankenstein as you run down the street with lit pitchforks. I mean, it's just like, what are we doing here? And then I think the most interesting aspect for me is the ending, which I don't think necessarily works, but I think with a little bit of tweaking would really work. Like the idea of him going off the railings at the end, and then the van flying away as if it was Santa's sleigh. I think to me that personally signifies how gone he is as a character, that he's imagining that. I did a bit of reading online because I felt quite resolute in my opinion, and a lot of people think it's the other way around. They think it's like he believes in Christmas so much that he's transcending, and I'm like, well, that's shitty. To me, it's a clear indication that he's mentally snapped. And I kind of would have liked more of that, like the idea, kind of almost American Psycho-esque. He attacks that group of people out on the streets with, hits the guy with the axe. That, later on there's no report in the paper or something. Something in the movie which clearly shows the guy is mentally disconnected, and it doesn't do any of that. It just kind of, like, he breaks into a house and he smothers a guy using his Santa sack. It's basically a giant teabag death as he holds over this guy's face, and he's thrashing around right beside his wife, who doesn't fucking stir at all, doesn't move, and then kills him with a nasty nick to the throat from an ornament from a Christmas tree. And you know what I mean? Like, there's some cool ideas here, but like overall, I just found that. I mean, it's like an hour and 35, an hour and 40 minutes long. It felt like a chore to get through, and a lot of that was every time they gave you a cool death, I felt this movie was putting the brakes on with, let's see him in the toy factory. Let's be at the toy factory for 10 minutes. Let's see him in his house. Let's see him in his house for 10 minutes. I'm like, let's get this thing going. Let's move it up. We've seen him snap. I want to see him snap now. And there's a couple of really cool scenes, but overall as a movie, I found it very dry, and like I say, I like the concept behind it. I just think the execution isn't great. So that's my thoughts. I will now shut the fuck up, and Mark, you can tell us all about what you made of Christmas Evil.
I think I'm kind of on the same page. I had seen this before. I've got the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray of this. I think I got it for like $10 during one of their sales, and I tried watching it during Christmas time last year or the year before or somewhere around in there. And this is a hardcore feel-bad movie. It's like intensely ugly in spirit and in visuals, I think. Like you said, it does have that like kind of soft lit, like emphasis on like twinkly lights kind of shit that like a lot of Christmas movies do, but the locations and the actors and the costumes and everything about it's really ugly, and it's overly mean-spirited, I think, kind of, which I think is kind of part why John Waters really likes this. It does revel in its fucking how demented it actually is, and like does a really good job of like, oh, here's all these like cute and fluffy and warm and fuzzy kind of ideas that you have of Christmas. Well, here's a fucking psychopath that is like completely snapped, that's going to just kind of invert all of that. Like this is like a traditional Christmas movie shot in negative, kind of, and I gotta give him balls for that. Like it's like this. I think this movie pissed people off pretty bad when it came out. Like this and Silent Night, Deadly Night. Like when you come for the fucking. When you come for the Christmas movies, you're gonna piss off the Christians like real bad. So, well,
you can't have cups in Starbucks which don't say Christmas on it. You know what I mean? Like, or they get, you're gonna get a little bit of anger. Is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
And at its core, this is a bad Santa movie. This is if Santa was the Joker, basically. That was another movie that I was like, God damn, the Joker ripped this movie off. There's a lot of like beat for beat kind of parallels, and I'm just not a fan of movies like that. Like this goes way the hell back to like The Love Butcher, where it's like the abused nerd that finally fucking snaps. I hate these fucking kind of movies. I really just despise the idea of them, and it just angers me thinking about that part of it. And especially since this kid's like trauma is like, he's a fucking prude, basically. Like, his trauma comes from seeing his fucking parents, like, starting to get freaky. Like, that's not enough to turn somebody into a fucking psychopath or a serial killer. And every kid experiences, like, the crushing moment of finding out that, like,
their
Santa
parents
Claus
fuck,
is fake.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, everyone...
We're going in two different directions there. I mean, that too, but, like, I was talking more about Santa Claus.
How did I get here? I got here because they did what? Ugh.
I mean, there's that, yeah, of course, which, like, yeah, every kid goes through that, and very, very, very few of them become serial killers. Same with the Santa Claus thing. Like, I highly, especially nowadays, I highly doubt there's kids that give that much of a shit about Christmas that, like, finding out Santa is their fucking dad or whatever, and seeing them diddling their fucking mom dressed as Santa. That's not enough. Like, that's... And then he's like, you know, he works a shit fucking factory job. His coworkers are mean to him. Wah, wah, wah. That's fucking all of us. We are all just cogs in the fucking death machine of industry. Get fucking used to it. Like, that's... I'm not going to go out and hatchet somebody in the face or fucking, you know, start killing people because of that. That's not enough. So, those parts of this movie kind of piss me off. I don't know. Like I said, I do kind of respect the balls on this movie because it, like, just, it gives no fucks about your feelings, and it's like, I don't know. I guess that's really kind of about it. This is not one that, like, usually by Christmas time, I'm so goddamn burnt out on horror movies because I watch just an insane amount of them between, like, August and the end of October that I'm usually watching other stuff, but if I'm going to put on, like, a Christmas horror movie, kind of, there are way better choices than this one. I would go with, like, Rare Exports, or Dial Code Santa Claus, or, I mean, if you want, if, like, you're having, like, a bad movie night in December or so, put on Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. It's, like, hilariously bad. Like, this I didn't really get any of it. This movie just mostly made me feel bad.
Yeah, I think, like... I think we're kind of in the... I think we're in the same boat, I think, overall. I think, like I say, there were things that, having now spoken about it twice today, there's little stylistic things that I love. I love the, like, the usual suspects kind of setup of all the Santas in the, you know, in the identification room, you know, in the police department where they're in the lineup. Like, I love that because... I just, like, imagined one of them doing the you know, give me the keys, motherfucker! Sort of thing. The Benicio del Toro, give me the fucking key, motherfucker. You know, I just, like, I had that in the back, like, when I was watching it, and there is part of me that gets a sick kind of, like, smile on my face, like, having Santas all lined up, fake Santas all lined up, having to use the same kind of Christmas line about like goodwill to all men. Right now, you say it number 3. Like, those sort of things. I thought, like, in parts it was a surprisingly clever movie, and I'm with you. I think actually the balls probably, because it isn't like Silent Night, Deadly Night or anything like that, because it isn't a slasher. It isn't just like we have a guy out there killing people who's just a escaped lunatic. With it, in the case of this one, they're trying to give you the backstory for it, and I'm kind of with you. The backstory just doesn't really work for me overall. It feels a bit kind of like, and then you get what you get in it overall. It's, yeah, like I said, I gave it a 2.5 out of 5 on the TPUTS scale, and I doubled down with that. Even speaking with you on it, I just think I can see probably why it stands out and probably why it gets a bit of love. And totally, I'm with you. I can see why John Waters probably thinks this is like the film you should watch at Christmas time, which I think is his quote. I think his quote is, "Forget It's a Wonderful Life and White Christmas, watch Christmas Evil." Yours, John Waters, which sounds very much like John Waters. So yeah, I mean, let's talk about grades. This to me is a slap on the wrist because, like you say, there is a yucky feel to this movie, but I don't think the violence ever goes to an extent where I'm like, well, that's kind of graphic to show on the TV. It doesn't go there. It's all very kind of 1980s practical effects, the likes of, we don't have Tom Savini doing head explosions yet. So yeah, and like I say, it is mean-spirited, but it's mean-spirited in a way that I would expect from a movie called Christmas Evil. So yeah, I'm going to give it a slap on the wrist. What about yourself? Where are you coming in?
I think I'm the same. This is a slap on the wrist. It's got that awful 3M fucking bright fluorescent red blood in it, and it really doesn't even have very much of that. Like, it's relatively bloodless. Most of the offensive stuff in this is like very psychological and like more like in tone kind of thing. And the fact that like you can't really, it's hard to do a Christmas movie without having children in it to a certain degree, and there is like threats of children, children being threatened with violence kind of in this to a degree, and like the super weird scene where he's like peeping on all the kids with fucking binoculars, and the one kid is like cutting out titty pictures out of a porno mag or whatever, and it was like, all right, yeah, you've also got like child sexuality type of stuff in there, and like how it's naughty that this kid is like obsessed with boobs or whatever at his age.
All I could think of was like there's absolutely no way the director of PCs did not see Christmas Evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah,
it must be
weird morals between the two, kind of, and weird things they're saying about sexuality, kind of.
Yeah, like even down to the death by axe, like that they do at the beginning. The PCs just made me think, oh, right, he saw this movie. Just strange. Even the cinematography, actually, that one scene. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. So yeah, that is us both coming in with a slap on the wrists for Christmas Evil. We are going to take our final break, ladies and gents. You're going to hear promos for shows that I love. When we return, though, we will be bringing the show into a nice conclusion by letting you know what the next two films we'll be discussing in April. And just let me put the stall out and say, one of these movies is what I call best in show in the horror category. It is in my top 3 horror movies ever fucking made. So we will find out what that is right after this.
This is a test of the emergency podcasting system. Listen to the Psychosemantic Podcast. Politics, movies, and political movies. Find us on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, legionpodcasts.com. The Psychosemantic Podcast.
And welcome back. So you've been listening to Doing the Nasty Season 2 episode number 15. We have been chatting about Suicide Cult, aka The Astrologer, and You Better Watch Out, aka Christmas Evil from 1980. Mark, we are strapping ourselves in for a movie I adore and one that I have never heard of before, but if memory serves, way back in the day, you seemed excited about this. So both of these movies came out roughly about the same time. And let's start with the one from 78. Next week we'll be discussing the X-rated 2-hour movie The Chant of Jimmy Blacksmith, directed by Fred Shapushby. I don't know how you pronounce his surname. Jimmy Blacksmith, the son of an Aboriginal mother and a white father, falls victim to much racial abuse after marrying a white woman, and then goes on a killing spree and finds himself on the run in the aftermath. How do you know this movie? Because I have never heard of it before.
I actually don't know if I know this movie. I remember talking in the Facebook group about this movie with probably Tony or Richard or one of the dudes that knows a lot about all these movies, and I was I don't know, I'm sure I was saying some kind of fucking I was bemoaning the racial violence that I'm anticipating in this movie, and somebody I think was just like, it's not as bad as you think it is, and actually this movie's pretty okay.
Yeah, it's got relatively high rating online. Even on IMDb it holds a 7, which is a lot higher than the majority of the movies we've discussed. So
I guess we'll find out with this one.
We will indeed. We will find out. We will be doubling it with a little movie which came out the year before, also had an X rating. This one is by Dario Argento. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be finally reaching Suspiria. Oh yeah. Well, it's time to get our geek caps on and talk about that Goblin score and talk about the room full of fucking razor wire and the dog that just goes crazy and attacks its owner for no fucking reason because it's Argento, baby. It's Argento. I can't wait, man. I can't wait. Oh, dude, it's going to be amazing. So yeah, a mixed bag for sure. Suspiria with all its wild colours and mentalness, and the chant of Jimmy Blacksmith, which sounds like a really emotional sort of roller coaster sort of movie. I'm really looking forward to this now. It's classed as the crime drama, whereas Suspiria is classed as horror, and that's all. So that is what we're doing in 1 month's time. Mark, before we leave though, you do things. People can see those things online. They're great. You share them. Tell people where they can check them out.
So probably the best place to follow me right now is on Twitter. That's the Fancy Mark. Same with Instagram, the Fancy Mark. Although I haven't been posting on there quite as much. I've been trying to post in the Facebook group. It's for Doing the Nasty. Just search that in groups and you should be able to find it. Although I do periodically get kicked off of Facebook and have to take a little sabbatical and go post things elsewhere from the Facebook because that's how it works now. Yeah, it's, I don't know, I've been online a fair amount the last, month or so, but also real life has been fucking crazy kind of, so, I guess while you're waiting for episodes of this show to come out, go check out Tony over on the Video Nasty project on YouTube. They put out episodes, I think, like once a week, and they're going through all 3 Video Nasty lists in alphabetical order, and they do like a video show type of deal for that. It's good stuff. Go check them out. I think that's about it. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but oh well.
No, that sounds about right. We are planning on having him on for a kind of crossover at some point. He did give me the suggestion of what movie he wanted to discuss, but I think that's quite far away on my list. So I'm going to see if I can renegotiate with him to try and get him on, because I think the movie he wanted to do, it's not officially on our list to discuss till next year. So, and that kind of feels like a long way away. So I'm going to try and see if I can ping something out to him and maybe attract him on for one of the upcoming shows, because it'd be good to get him on. His stuff is really good, so you should go and support that as well. And like Mark says, Mark is really good at like doing stuff for the Facebook group page. I have about 20 Facebook group pages, so I tend not to be as active unless someone tags me in something. But yeah, I go across, post some stuff there. Mark's kind of trying to curate a list of where to see these movies as and when they appear on YouTube before they disappear off YouTube. It does feel that whenever you post it though, like some algorithm somewhere's like that, they know it's online. Get rid of it. Yep, there's too many people watching it. What the fuck is this? Pretty much, which is, I like to think that we are shaping our own destiny, Mark. So that's a heady, lofty thing to close on, and I like it. We'll be back in 1 month's time to do this all over again. Suspiria and the chant of Jimmy Blacksmith. Until then, please take care of yourselves out there. We'll be back to speak to you real soon. Bye, everyone. Bye.
They were called Nasties, and they were nasty.
Some of the things that we've seen are so horrific.
These films not only affect young people, but I believe they affect adults as well.
An extravaganza of gory violence capable of depraving and corrupting those who watched it.
I have never seen a video nasty. I wouldn't. I actually don't need to see what I know is in that film.